Hello and welcome back to TF1C, the Formula 1 chat. Today, we're going to be discussing a topic that I've seen highly debated on Twitter, and it's Lando Norris versus George Russell. It's an interesting one. I think this one, of course, we are both, I guess, well, what side are you on? Who do you think is a better driver overall? I guess we'll just start with the big question and then run through some of the things that could contribute to those thoughts.
Overall, looking at completely their whole time in F1, not just this season, not the last couple of races, just them overall, Lando Norris. Easy one.
Interesting. I would say Lando Norris as well. But then there's a
debate.
lot of factors that will become clear as to why why it's such hard debate to call. But yeah, I think the easiest way to do this is to look at 5 different attributes that I've put on the board and discuss which of these drivers would be better in an equal car. So, qualifying pace. Who do you think has the better qualifying pace?
Tough one to call. Obviously, we've seen Lando put together some great laps.
Yeah, of course, took pole
in Sochi. P2 in Imola before. No, P3. Sorry, he was going on the front. Martin Brundle. Is he going to be on the front row? Is he going to put this on pole?
And I think he would have taken definitely second place at Spa-Francorchamps if he hadn't gone up when it was so wet.
Speaking of Spa-Francorchamps,
of course,
George Russell
took his best qualifying result in the Williams. Of course, he did take pole this season at the Hungaroring in the most recent round.
Because Lando's taken 2 in the McLaren. What? Two what I'd call high-end, massive quality results. And then Russell has done a high-end quality result in a worse car than McLaren in the Williams.
I disagree. That's a good. I think that's incredibly difficult to call it a very good qualifying result, considering the conditions and in which it was achieved. I think it's a very good lap, and fair play to him for getting it. But I think on a normal qualifying session, it could go. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it makes it even better that he managed to keep out of it all the other world-class drivers. Like Lewis Hamilton, who's been known to he out-qualified Lewis Hamilton, who's in a Merc, much quicker car, who's a much more experienced driver, who's one of the greatest drivers of all time.
The pace of the car didn't make a difference on that day, but yeah, it was just raw. Who could get the best lap? Not really. The track was so wet.
In a go-kart, I wouldn't have gone quicker, would I?
I think, well, no, because obviously it's a completely different vehicle. It's like, the bloke's in a crane, but he's lapped it really fast.
I still think the car control, and it was exceptional.
But in terms of qualifying pace overall, I know George Russell's been tokened as Mr. Saturday by certain commentators on British media, but yeah, I don't think his qualifying is as good as Lando Norris's. I think in general, Lando Norris gets better qualifying results than George Russell.
I don't know,
because in the Mercedes this season, I don't think he's out. I'm gonna have a look into how many times he's out qualified Lando Norris in the McLaren.
Lando's had Q1 knockouts this season at McLaren. I look back to when Russell was getting that Williams into Q2 into Q3. I think George just edges it on quality.
Because I disagree. I mean, George took.
So that's 1-0 George at Hungary.
George took pole at Hungary. Lando took 4th, which I think I'd argue is a better result.
But then
Norris out-qualified Russell at France. That's 1-0.
But I just like to add on Lando's Hungary result. Verstappen had no power. Hamilton had no DRS. Perez had a freak result. 2-1 because Lando's had 15th in Austria.
Does that Lando performing badly in Hungary, you're saying? Because of the performing higher because of the factors? Yeah. I also think the same for Russell. Russell does not out-qualify Max or Lewis if they're both there. I don't think he out-qualifies
I think he out-qualifies Lewis.
Potentially.
I think he'd have been second.
But I don't know. I think Lewis looked a lot quicker than Russell at the Hungaroring. It's a track he's always performed well at. Then Austria, Lando is absolutely nowhere near. I'm just saying, relative to car performance, I think if you look at the teammate battles, Lando Norris has out-qualified Daniel Ricciardo pretty much every race. I can't think of a single race where he's outperformed him.
At all.
And then what?
Because Ricciardo's had a terrible season.
But Russell's outperformed Lewis, is what I'm saying. So they've both done very well compared to their teammates. But I think in terms of quality pace, Lando Norris wins. I think in terms of race pace, Russell is
Russell's consistency
quite
in
ahead.
races.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
if you look at their long stints, Russell is able to keep up the same pace over a long period of time.
I think,
for
I
our
think
race.
it's very close on quality pace.
Lando
Russell definitely takes race
Lando
pace.
does fall away sometimes in his stints, and that can cost him. Up next, overtaking.
Lando Norris.
I don't think George Russell's made an overtake.
No.
In the Merc, he's very good at getting in a decent position, avoiding
And then defending.
a bit of chaos, and then just not really doing anything.
I think Lando takes overtaking.
Yeah.
Russell takes defending.
Have either of them defended?
Russell at Spain
What, Checo?
against Verstappen and Checo.
Lando at Sochi? Against Carlos Sainz?
Come on, Sainz did not give him a battle.
Well, I think he did.
Even as a McLaren fan, I can say
They were the same
No, Sainz didn't even go for a move.
performance. Sainz literally overtook him.
Yeah, and then Lando got him back and went off into the sunset, and then the rain came, and Lewis Hamilton came along.
Yeah. Okay, well, 2-2 then. Into the final one. I'll put incident avoidance. I think this is a bit of a strange topic, but I wanted 5. I think it is. I don't think Lando Norris has been involved in a big incident in his F1 career. Like, other than what? Hungary? How is he supposed to avoid Bottas just taking everyone out? When has Lando Norris been involved in a crash?
But sometimes when has George Russell been involved in a crash?
When he literally mounted Bottas's car at Imola in the wet. Where I'd argue that was his fault.
Yeah.
He got on the grass.
No, Bottas
Went into
squeezed him.
Bottas. He didn't not squeezing onto the grass. Russell moves onto the grass. He loses control of the car into Bottas.
That's Bottas' fault. That one.
You can avoid the incident. He didn't avoid the incident. He kept pushing into the corner.
Yeah, but no, this is why I don't like this, because if Lando's in the same situation, he'd done exactly the same thing. Because he'd gone for the move.
He'd have stayed on the track. He wouldn't have gone on the
He
grass.
wouldn't, because he got squeezed off. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm on Lando's side here, but I'm saying I think you're underestimating George Russell. I think
I don't think I've underestimated George Russell.
agenda against George
I
Russell.
don't have an agenda against George Russell.
Sounds like it.
Why?
I just think.
When has Lando Norris been involved in an incident then?
I'm not saying he has, but Imola one, for example, that weren't Russell's fault.
I think it was.
Okay.
He got on the grass. He made the mistake. He went into Bottas.
He didn't get on the grass. He had no choice because he was already alongside Bottas, and then Bottas squeezed him on the grass.
No.
Right.
He was not.
I don't know.
Okay, great. Do we just call it level then?
It's a hard one to call incident avoidance because it's really hard to remember. Because we could look back at their crashes in F2.
But we're not. We're talking about their F1 performance.
Okay, well I don't remember what happened in Lando's first year in McLaren.
Okay.
Do you?
Well, we'll blame your long term. Well, he didn't. That's what I'm saying. He's not been involved in a crash. Like the only time he gets involved in incidents, it's like Miami, where Gasly just smacked into him for a laugh.
That was not a laugh.
What was he doing?
That's
a
only
clue.
2 for me. Obviously, Silverstone this year, where he just got stuck between
And
Gasly
again,
and Zhou.
No, he came across. He
That's
cut
one
Gasly off.
move. Thing is though, that incident's going to sound worse because of the way Zhou flipped and went round. If Zhou just went round normally and just did a little spin, then we wouldn't say it was a bad incident. We wouldn't be talking about it as so severely.
No, but he still caused the incident.
Oh yeah.
So, in terms of incident avoidance, Lando's not been involved in any. George has been involved in 2 big shunts. I think you have to give the mark to Lando here.
You say big shunts, but what I'm saying is George didn't. The bit George, he could avoid the incident, but the bit George didn't cause, he didn't cause Zhou to flip a Rooney and go into a fly over a catch fence or fly.
No, but that wasn't his intention, but he did cause that.
Yeah, no, but if Zhou had just done a little spin maybe and gone round,
Then
we wouldn't call it a big shunt, would we though? And then we wouldn't be looking at it.
No, because George didn't just tap him. He got pinched between George and Gasly because George went left and ignored the fact that Zhou was there.
Yeah, give the mark to Lando.
So I would say that if they were in equal cars, I think Lando would outperform George across the season. The problem with this debate is it's impossible to call because they've never been in equal or close to performing cars. When the McLaren was decent, Russell was in a Williams. Now that Russell's in a top performing car, the McLaren's a shitbox.
I think Lando would out-qualify George, but George would have the better race pace. But then Lando could overtake him, but then Russell could defend from him. So then it would come down.
And
to
then George
crashes.
would probably smash into him, so they'd both be out, and nobody would score any points.
So let's hope they never become teammates, because that's how it will go.
And if you look at their performance against their teammates,
I think you can.
I think you can.
Russell had Latifi.
Yeah.
I could outperform Latifi
And-
with 1 foot.
Well, he didn't massively outperform him, considering it's Latifi and you can do him with 1 foot, apparently.
He did.
Well, let's have a look at that, your theory then.
Russell got that kind of Q2.
So this
most
season,
qualities.
George Russell is 12 points ahead of his much more experienced teammate Lewis Hamilton in his first year in Mercedes. Lando Norris sits an mental amount of points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the one,
57 points ahead.
Russell takes that.
So they've both outperformed their teammates so far this
Russell
season.
takes that. Because Hamilton is a 7-time world champion.
Let's look at their history.
Greatest driver of all time. Lando is racing with Daniel Ricciardo. As much as I love Daniel Ricciardo, he has had a terrible season.
Let's look at their history of outperforming teammates. So last season, with Norris and Ricciardo's first year, Norris outperformed Ricciardo
didn't
by
have
45
a good
points.
season.
He won a race.
And
45 points. Yeah, but it's a massive amount of points. And then George Russell, he took...
yeah, Lando came P2 and he only lost 7 points to Daniel that race.
What do you mean? Well, he would have took the 7 points if Daniel wasn't there. So I don't know what you're trying to say.
I'm saying you're saying that Daniel got a big haul of points for the win. Well, yeah, but Lando has still got 18.
7 points is a big difference, mate, in Formula 1.
Depends where you are.
Well, if you lose the championship by 7 points or you draw it, that's quite a big difference, isn't it?
Because if you're 100 points off someone, you gain 7, 93 off, what we do. If you're 6
it's a lot
points off
closer,
someone...
isn't it?
Well, it's not... Come on.
No, it is,
You are chatting rubbish
Because
now.
if you're 100 points off and you win 4 consecutive races and don't take any fastest laps, you level with them. If you're 93 points off and then you win the next 4 consecutive races without fastest laps, you're ahead of them. So, big difference, mate. Then, so George Russell on 16 points last season, Latifi on 7, so just a difference of 9 points between those two.
It's Williams. He's not going to score points, is he?
Well, he scored 16 of them, Latifi got 7, so I don't think there's that much difference in their
That's
performance.
massive in a Williams.
Is it?
To think the only points they'd have been scoring like 1 and 2
When you
and half
consider
points.
when you consider that George took 9 at Belgium in a race that wasn't really... He didn't
yeah, but
really
in
do
the
anything,
conditions,
did
if it was raceable conditions but still wet...
he? I don't think he scored points.
Wow, okay.
I think he would have slipped through the order, because I don't think
Why is that?
the Williams is good enough to compete at the
Okay.
front.
What did I say? The car does
What?
matter.
Obviously, you just said it's dry.
No, it's wet.
Oh, if it's wet, then maybe he
yeah,
holds
exactly.
positions. Or maybe it's instant avoidance, so he can smash into someone and then he's out.
Oh, never mind. I think Lando wins.
Let's look at 2020.
Oh, I don't. Why we? Okay.
Because in that season, Lando Norris was how many points? 8 points off Carlos Sainz in the McLaren team.
Carlos Sainz is a much better driver than Daniel Ricciardo has been in McLaren.
Interesting. He scored less points than Daniel Ricciardo did in his debut year.
More races.
I don't think there's that many.
More crashes.
2020, 2021. There's a
In
few more races.
2020, you had your nailed on top 4 of Red Bull and Merc. Whereas in 2021, Max and Lewis were crashing each other out.
I mean, Alexander Albon was not exactly your nailed-on top 4. He finished 7th in the championship.
Max and Hamilton, who were 1-2 every single race in 2020, one of them was at least out in every other Grand Prix.
And Russell claimed 3 points in 2020. 3 more than
Latifi. That Williams
Latifi.
was awful. You can't. That's non-applicable that season.
Well, yes.
Because that Williams was.
Though George Russell obviously got most of those points when he raced for Mercedes in that one race in 2020.
He didn't get points.
He finished 9th, didn't he?
No, he might have.
I think he finished 9th and claimed 2 points.
I'm saying that you can't. That Williams was a soapbox. Of course, Lando did better than much.
And then 2019.
Why are we in 2019 then?
Lando Norris was, where is his teammate? Quite a way off Carlos Sainz.
Yeah,
46 points.
Lando's
47
second
points
season?
off Carlos Sainz.
Is that Lando's second season?
Yes.
Let's give him that then. Out of Sainz's.
And then Russell
fourth
was
season?
a point off Robert Kubica.
Yeah, but I'd be a point off Rokovic, so he's a legend.
That was his first season as well for George Russell.
Yeah, exactly. We're going
and
to...
in Lando's first
Okay, we can't
campaign.
because George Russell isn't in this campaign.
Well, we can have a look. Does it say a lot that Lando's got more experience? Should he be doing a lot better than George Russell is?
That's the thing. That's why I think it levels out.
Where's Lando?
Lando's
I know
an
that.
extra year.
2018 was Van Dorn and Alonso, so Lando wasn't there. They joined in the same
That's
year.
why he lost so much to Sainz then, didn't he?
Why?
That's what, because Sainz had 3 seasons before that.
Well, yeah, he joined in 2015, didn't he, Carlos Sainz? Same year as Max Verstappen.
So what we found is we've done this whole video and then realised they're equal.
I don't think they are. I think it's impossible to call though because there is.
Exactly.
This is what everyone's been saying though. Everyone's been saying it's too close to call. I want to try and find a definitive answer, but there isn't one until they're in equal-ish cars. If Lando Norris was to join Red Bull, why not?
No, sorry, yeah, I do. I thought you meant to join the Merc with Russell.
If Lando Norris joined Red Bull and they're both in equal positions, they're both a second driver at big teams, then we can start to compare.
Just a very random point, a very big point.
Not even second driver.
I saw randomly today, just from the video. Someone said if you put Lewis Hamilton, if Mercedes had the Ferrari car, we'd be winning the World Championship by a country mile, which I thought was a joke.
Interesting.
I thought that was ridiculous.
I think the Ferrari's by far and away the quickest car. Quite comfortably to Red Bull.
Yeah.
At least it's at races this year.
I think Max Verstappen would manage to beat Lewis Hamilton. And if Lewis Hamilton was in that Ferrari, I think.
What do you mean by in that Ferrari? If they had the Ferrari, if you put Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari team, no.
Oh, no,
the car blows up.
If Merc had the Ferrari car,
it still blows up. They can't stop it blowing up.
Well, Merc would though, wouldn't they? Because they know.
Yeah, and then they'd slow it down.
They wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying.
They'd probably do something illegal.
No, they can't. No, what? The reason Merc have the car they have now is because that's what they've built. They wouldn't then get the Ferrari and go, you know what, they'll change it all, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to whatever they built before.
It wasn't my point that was made. I saw someone else make it.
Okay. Also different engines. Theirs doesn't blow up.
I was like, Ferrari car, Merc engine. Yeah, no. Let's move on.
It wouldn't work.
The outro.
Okay. Bye, every no. Get involved in the comments down below. Leave a like. Make sure to get involved. I want to hear from you guys. Who you think is better, George Russell or Lando Norris? I think there could be quite the contentious debate in the comments below, hopefully, because that would mean engagement, which means impressions, which means views, which means millions of subscribers, which means money. So yes, if you want to help us on our goal to becoming minted, make sure to get involved in the comments down below and subscribe today to help us so much. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.